Resistance. I am your host, Adesoji Iginla, and again, welcome to Women and Resistance, the podcast. This is the podcast where we honor women who did not simply exist within history or help shaped it. History have often lied to us, particularly about the contribution of women. Today, in our continuous quest to honor African women, we journey to the Niger Delta, specifically to Boni Kingdom, where a woman did not just advise power or help steer it. By that, I'm talking about Queen Kambassa. Welcome.
When, can I even calculate it? Aya Yi, the one that you talk with, when she consulted with me, I lived a long time ago. And she said, you people want me to share my story. I had to think about it. Not because it's not a story that should not be told, not because I don't want my daughters to remember who they are and rise up in a different way today, but because I said, an effective leader pays attention to their audience.
Mm.
So you know what to say and how to move your audience. If I come in to talk to you today, how do I tell my story, particularly for those of you who do not understand or cannot relate to that time frame, my traditions, my culture? How do I effectively communicate to you? I'm saying this before I even answer any of your questions so that it will help all of us grapple with both the speaking and the listening.
Mm.
Because even though you're the only one I can hear from directly, in my spirit, I'm going to be trying to hear from the people who are listening to our conversation. But I also want them to perhaps make a decision before we even continue to maybe put aside all of their ideas of who I should be or how I should present myself based on any information that has been put out there. Because let me ask you this. You answer this question. When you think of an African woman, when you think of an African leader who happened to be a woman, going back to the 16th and 17th centuries in Africa, what image comes to mind?
Queen Nzinga, Queen Amina of Zaria. Um,
But you're naming the names. But what image? Because even the images of those women have been shaped by what?
By the men they had to organize and lead.
Now, which men? Did we describe ourselves, or did somebody else write that story? Or did we just come up with a description of them as a phantom of our imagination, as we have seen done at different times in history? And a good example is the Jesus you people worship.
Hmm.
Is that picture that so many people can point out and say that is Jesus? Is that Jesus?
Well, time has created depictions of humans, and depiction has now taken some sort of legacy background to think anytime you look up or you think that's the picture you see, and people tend to go with it.
So let me start from the beginning.
Mm.
Even speaking in this tongue, so many translations before it can come out. And then I don't even know if it's coming out in the way that I mean it.
Mm.
My name, me, I am what I was called. Kamba, da, Edimini. Edimini, my father, Edimini. Some people also call me Kambassa. So most of the time people know me as Queen Kambassa. But when you look in the history books, you also see Kamba da Edimini.
Mm.
I come from a dynasty, a royal dynasty. We always want to say everybody's kings and queens and so on and so forth. I really did come from a line of rulers.
Mm.
And my child, through whom I'm speaking today, can trace her lineage from her father, who is still alive, back, all the way back to the centuries, to me and beyond, to the first king of Bonny, what you people now call king. We called, our terminology was amanayanabo, amanayanabo. So I was not Queen Kambassa, I was amanayanabo, I was the ruler, I was the monarchy. No, I was the monarch. Again, all of these things we have to convert to the English version, because
To give
unfortunately
understanding.
we don't have that common language. What sets me apart? Why am I someone still talked about in the folk tales? Not as much as I should be, because men do not even want this story to be told. It's because in the entire history of the monarchy of Bonny, Bonny being in the Niger Delta, area now known for its oil. For those of you who study, you go back, you look at Africa, then you look at Nigeria, then you look at the southern part of Nigeria, southeastern part of Nigeria, look at the Niger Delta, and Bonny is right there. That was not our original name. We were Bonny.
Ibani.
And these white men, they could not say the word. Say Bonny, the Bonny people, the Bonny. And now, there are things I would do differently. Now we call ourselves Bonny, but we were Ibani. But back to my story. When you trace all of the rulers from the first of Bonny to present day Bonny and now present day Opobo, I am the only woman to be the monarch. And that did not happen because the men wanted it to happen. My people, we are what you would call a riverine people. We fish, we sometimes build our homes on stilts. We're very good swimmers. We had our own form of spirituality. We had our deities. We understood our concept of God. We had our festivals and we had our governance systems. We had a form of government, as to use you people's terminology. So even though you were the king or the amanayanabo, as we would call it, the amanayanabo did not unilaterally make decisions. The amanayanabo had a group of not just advisors, they had advisors too, but you had a council that consisted of representatives from every war Kano house. So we were the whole town, if you will, was split into you people's language, it just gives me problems.
Committees.
We had groupings of families.
Okay.
Those families knew that they worked together, they did business, protected themselves together. We consider them war Kano houses. If we ever had to go to war, if we ever had to protect ourselves, each house would have its own military equipment, and young men and women were also trained to protect and then to come together collectively to protect the community at large. And we had different age groups, and each age group had a representative as well. So there was not this sense of the amanayanabo made all the decisions, or even that the Council of Chiefs made all the decisions. There was a process where every group had access to power to make their voice heard and known, and to be considered as we made decisions. That is how it used to be. Now, back in my time, there were always these skirmishes, these land battles, because people were still migrating. My people, we say we migrated from the area of Sudan and Kemet and came down through the waterways before the desertification of Africa. So, and then we kept moving down, following the waterways. So you would see skirmishes between different groups that had settled in different areas. But one of the ways that we would try to address these issues was through intermarriage, not through nuclear weapons. That is what you people call it today. So, because once two families intermarry, they are now one. Will a brother now fight a brother, or a sister fight a sister, or a mother fight you see? So when we were having some issues, Bonnie was having some issues back and forth with the people of Azwogu. I was one of those young girls, the way I was raised, and the way we raised women then, you could fish, you could farm, you could protect yourself, you could equally. There was a rites of passage, if I'm using your terminology right, where we trained women, where we trained men, but complementary as well. Men could cook, men could dance, women could cook, women could dance. Every group had a training to allow them to come together and be
Enhance
a productive member of the community. And so my father gave me in marriage to Apoli, who was a legendary chief of Azwogu. And many young women wanted him. Now, Just hold on to that story I was telling you. I'll come back and finish the story. Just hold on. Let me go back to the beginning of what I was saying when I said, everybody, you have to think about what image do you have? So when you were thinking, or maybe you didn't think about it, we're coming to hear from a woman who lived centuries and centuries ago. Even before, well, I guess you say probably at the beginning of what they now call the transatlantic
Transatlantic
slave
slave
trade.
trade. Yeah.
What did you expect me to look like? So when I was preparing to come and talk to you, I said, do I dress like we really dress like, when I was in sitting on my throne? Do I come with all of that? Which would require me to bring akwete. Akwete would be the material that we used to weave ourselves. If you think of kente, which most of you know, it has some similar geometric patterns, but the weaving of it, it's a beautiful thing to see. Do I come with my wrapper tied around my waist, but my chest bare, which is, as a more mature woman, that is how we would walk around. But in you people's culture, would they not take you off now? Except for sometimes, you people like to go and look at the naked body. But other times, it's now a horrible thing. I'm very confused by you people's culture. I have to tell you. I don't know. I'm a mature woman. What do you want to see? What is it? What does it mean to you? If a man can walk with his bare chest and nobody is losing their mind, when I'm hot and it's humid and everything, can I not also, okay,
Walk bare
so I said,
chest.
okay, I cannot now come with my bare chest. Many of you will say, they are primitive, they are savage. I said, okay, well, do I come with all my fineries, except that I also want to talk to you about who I was on a very practical level. And you cannot go through life and accomplish what I accomplished and be wearing fineries all the time. You can't. I know that you people have some role model, something you people call like that. Everything heal, everything. What do you people call it? Slay. I don't know if you are really actively accomplishing something in life. If you're always going to just have. So I said, that is not a correct appearance.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that I really lived. If you're going to be a leader, you must be effective. And just for me, just looking a part, if that part is not conducive to my leadership, to the work that I have to do. So when I'm going to war, is that what I'm going to do?
No, clearly not.
So I had to think carefully. I said, okay, well, I will at least wear my coral beads, gives a mark of some of my royalty. But my hair, everything, we have work to do. Okay, so now that I've said that, let me go back to the story. I did not forget. So my father gave me in marriage to Chivazuogu so that the two,
body of people,
yes, we are now one.
Yeah.
We can no longer fight each other. We have to have peace. We have to figure out how to work with each other. Can you imagine that once we married, we now did figure out how to work with each other? Human beings, why do we like to quarrel? with that incentive of we're now one. But there was a little problem. I had another young man. Don't make that face. Don't make that face. I had a man who had my heart. Yes, yes. Even women who lived back in my time, we had heart. Can you imagine? I know some of you think only you today know what love is. So I had duty and I had love. And let me tell you the kind of woman I am. I accomplished both, but these were different times. See, in my culture, at that time amongst the Ijaw, before the Europeans came and just confused our minds in so many different ways, we basically had a sense of what you would say kind of like two forms of marriage. Okay. So a lot of times men would go fishing, for long periods of time. So they were not always in the house. So if you had less financial means, you back then would do a marriage that was more like igwa. Igwa is you would still get married, but the gifts that you would give to your bride's family would not be as much. And there was an understanding that the bride can stay in your house with your family, can stay with her own parents' family, or another relative or something, while you are gone. Still take care of your children, all of that, but you are sending back the resources to take care of your children.
Yeah.
Now, if you ever got to a point where you are not providing, you people call it child support. You people think your own is that you are very new, everything only came from white people. If you got to a point where you are not providing for your wife and your children, that woman has the right to go and find someone with whom she wants to make a new life with. She belongs to herself and her children belong to her under Igwa. So divorce was not forbidden. It was not taboo. It was not, oh, heaven and hell has broken loose. It was not marriage till we die. If the marriage didn't work, it didn't work. Now, there was another form, though, of marriage that was called Iya, EYA. That one, after a while, even the wealthy, the daughters of wealthy men started to not like that marriage. Because with that one, the groom will buy and buy and buy and just give so much to the bride's family. It was almost like he was buying a slave. And with that one, there really was not a sense of you could divorce, because what was given was too much to most of the time ever repay back. However, if it did come to a point where you and the man decided, this is not working, you, the woman, can still find relations with somebody else. However, all of your children with that new person will bear the name of your husband. So you're not divorced.
Okay. That's interesting. So
Why
effectively,
do I tell this whole story?
what?
That is what I did. I married Chief Apoli for Mazogo, but I still had relations with my lover, Biriye. And Biriye and I had a son, and Biriye was quite, everybody is clear on the culture.
Yeah.
And Biriye and I had a son, and that son was considered a descendant of
The chief.
my husband, and that son succeeded me. But let me go back and now tell you how I became queen. How I became, oh, you people's language just annoys me. How I became amanayanabo. Are you ready to hear that, or do you have a question for me?
No, go on, go on, go on. I do have questions, but go on.
I think you will have questions. So you people like to think, oh, before you people, nobody. It's not the case. It's not the case. And there's much that you can learn from those of us who came before. Yes, I would say, how would we say it? A fetching woman, yes. But I was a warrior as well. I trained. And I not only trained militarily, I not only knew how to cook and how to find my way around the expectations of a woman, I learned how to lead. I listened in the royal courthouse to the political goings on. I learned, I went with the fishermen and women, and I learned the trade routes, and I understood the fishing routes. And I went to live with my husband, and at some point, my father took ill. And when my father took ill, even though he had wives, I said to my husband, I must return to Bonnie and I must take care of my father because I understand medicine, I understand how to care for my father. I had studied my father very closely as a leader. I understood the temperaments of all of the different characters that made up the Council of Elders. I understood their strengths and their weaknesses. I paid attention. Those who would choose to go into leadership, there is a time for study. You don't have to move and make a lot of noise. There's a time for study. And I studied. And I studied under my father. And then when I got married, I studied and learned everything I could from my husband and their form of government in Azuogo, and learned even more of the terrain of the land. So when I returned to take care of my father, unfortunately, it became very clear to me that my father, of course, everybody has to die at some point, that my father was going to die soon. I also understood that my brothers were going to have a struggle amongst themselves as to who would be the successor. And of course, at no point in time did any of them ever consider that although I was really superior in terms of my training to them, because I did not expect anything to be handed to me, whereas they had a little bit of entitlement. They did not at all consider, because in the history of our lineage at that time, no woman. Never mind. Any of you who are in a position now where they say, a woman has never done it. First of all, it's a lie. If you go and really research, you'll find out a woman has done it before. They may have hidden it, but a woman has done it before. But let's say that it just happens to be that this one situation a woman never has. You can. And men, what will really help us in our communities, in our families, in the landmass now called Africa, is if we go for competence and not body parts. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. Anyway, so in our tradition, when the amanayanabo dies, the person with the tusk, do you know that we used to have elephants? We
Interesting.
used to have elephants in this area. Now, if you talk to any person, even 70 years and younger, they've never seen elephant in our region, the people today. But when I was a young woman, of course, even to my old age, we had elephants. And so the elephant tusk, there was a particular tusk that the amanayanabo had. And the amanayanabo passed it on before their death. So whoever had that tusk was the rightful heir.
Successor.
That was the successor. That was the person who was going to be the next amanayanabo. But I also understood having the tusk is not enough. You must have the confidence of the warriors. So the whole time I was taking care of my father, I was tending to the matters of the state. I was making sure that the palace guards were properly taken care of. I was showing interest in their needs. Did your mother used to do this to you or your grandmother?
Yeah.
What does it mean when you do like this?
It means you need to listen.
Listen, listen. If you want to be a leader, listen. You must care about the people around you, not to use them, like to really care.
Be intentional.
You need to care. When you just, you're such a big person and you don't see the little people, let trouble come out. And you now need those little people. They too will not see you. So I took care of the guards. I understood, I told you, the weaknesses of the Council of Elders. When my father took his last breath and went to be with our ancestors,
Oh, the tusk.
Kamba, the Edemini,
Becomes the king.
I had the tusk. Oh, the men got in an uproar. They tried to galvanize to see how they could forcefully get the tusk, remove me. The palace guards closed ranks. This is our leader.
It was too late.
It was too late. But I understood it's not enough to get the title. Some of you just want title. You have to now be willing to do the work to serve your people. And so I embarked on a mission to try and resolve a lot of conflicts in the area. Some we were able to resolve diplomatically, and some that required us to go to war, I led the war effort. I didn't send the soldiers out. I led the war effort. One of the things I am known for is the Ikuba. Have you heard of the Ikuba?
No.
King Jaja later, before he became king, he actually tried to really renovate this Ikuba. But the nonsense missionaries eventually destroyed the whole thing. The Ikuba, known as the House of Skulls. When we try to make peace with you and you say no, war is the only way. One of the things that we would do is for those that would not surrender that we captured, we would behead them, and we had a literal house of skulls.
Okay.
And it was to serve as a deterrent for others who did not want to live at peace. Not for us to oppress you, but to live at peace. But if you felt like you would come and rule over us, then we were fighting till the death of it. We can have a conversation about what is right, what is wrong. I'll entertain it. We can have that conversation. We did not willy-nilly kill people. We did not kill from afar, where somebody is just sleeping and you just drop something on their house. We fought face to face. But those were our times. And I stayed as the amanayanabo, very well respected for the peace that I brought to our region, for the prosperity that flowed out of peace. Some of you people think that war somehow benefits you. How? Because if you are at war, then you're always afraid to even sleep. Because you're always afraid that those people, even if you vanquish them today, that tomorrow they're going to rise up and get their revenge. Yeah. Peace actually helps everybody. So under my leadership, we were able to establish a much more peaceful kingdom, as you people will call it. We did not call it kingdom. Oh, your language is bothersome. And women, not just because of my example, because obviously I came out of a certain tradition in the first place, but certainly encouraged, emboldened by having the amanayanabo be female, also continue to step into their roles. So back then, we basically had parallel roles in the sense of if a woman violated a law of the land, she went before a group of women. If a man, in fact, a lot of times you would start with your age group. So, now that I said that, so when you people in your law now, you say, oh, jury of their peers, and you
Yes,
say,
yeah.
oh, we're so smart, we're the first ones to come up with it. We had age groups. So if two people in the age group are having an issue, it's the age group, it's their peers that will first try to resolve the issue. If it can be resolved, then it will go up, and then you have the women's council. When obviously, if you have male and female an issue or a issue between two families, it goes to the council of
Oh,
elders.
that's okay.
But we had all these systems in place.
Hmm.
We did not have prison. We did not have orphanage. We did not have mental institution.
Old people's
We did not
homes.
have old people's home.
Hmm.
And I lived in relative peace with
Two
as
husbands.
as the as the wife of my husband and as the lover of my lover. I suppose one could say that what assists under those circumstances would be the fact that the men also had other, as you would call it, options. So I was not his only wife. Um, but it was an understanding. And after me, the son that I had with Birie was actually the one who um,
Became the successor.
became the successor. Yes. So, what questions do you have for me?
Okay, so let's begin with the first possible. I mean, it would be shocker to the to most of our audience, which is the issue of open marriages.
Mm.
How did that help the
Hey, he said
the
open marriage. Oh, is that what you people call it?
it that's the general terminology. Yeah.
Well,
It's
it
open.
wasn't. It's not open. It's it's it's
The way
not
you
like
call it.
you're going. It's not like you. So like with the igua,
Mhm.
it's when you finish with the one person, then you go to the other person. It's not like you're going back and forth, back and forth.
Oh, I mean, okay. So
So what do you
even
people when you people say your marriage is open? What do you mean?
so open marriage means obviously you're married, you're betrothed to one person, but then you're
Mhm.
free to go and be with other people. So
No, this one, by the time you're with somebody else, you have already made it clear. You're not performing. Therefore,
okay, you've been set aside. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
So, but in spite of that, I was going to ask the question, how did that help societal cohesion, knowing fully well that this woman used to have the eyes of this man? And obviously, you're going to be cohabiting in the village or the town, as it were, and you are going to be interacting at some point. How does that register with the society and the individuals involved?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question.
Okay, so the point I'm asking is, did it feel any awkward? It's like, hey, that used to be my wife, or she's our wife.
Hey, wait a second. Is she property?
Well, there is
No, the thing is that I think you people's view of things. Is she your property? Is he your property?
well, okay, using looking at it
If
through
you I don't
looking
know.
at
I'm
it through the lens
trying
of
to find if you lived in a house
yeah.
and then for you people that sell house, we didn't sell houses. We lived in our house all
Mhm.
the for our but and then somebody else lives in the house. What, you go to the person's house and get upset because they're now living in the house?
No, you're not upset, but then I'm looking through the lens of our times where we
I don't know
use
about your times.
we use phrases like, oh, that's my woman, that's my man, and that element of ownership.
Well, maybe because back then
Mm,
men did have multiple wives,
okay.
and we had this system where a woman could have multiple, technically multiple husbands.
So polyandry.
We had situations where a a man who didn't have sons
Mm,
could actually ask his daughter not to marry, but to have children, and all the children she has now answer the father's name. So
wow.
why should any man feel it's her body is her body. Is it good?
Oh,
So we didn't have the issues that you people have now. Now in my community, we have all those issues because all the Christianity and this, that, and the other. But did Solomon did in the Bible? Did it not say Solomon is the wisest man? How was Solomon the wisest man? He had 700 wives. I don't know how many concubines. They still said he was the wisest man. Then you people want to come and talk to me and be upset about we did not do one man, one wife. Go take it up even with your God himself.
okay. So
Uh-huh.
using that as an entry point,
Mm,
the Solomon analogy.
mm.
What was the role of the missionaries once they interacted with Boni, and how did that impact the
Let me
culture?
tell you, it took them some time. It was after my time. But even during my time, they would come with like hat for you to wear, little something. And, there's this part of human beings where if you can have something that the other person doesn't have, you think it makes you special.
The
So
flex.
these were some of the ways that they were wooing us,
Mm,
you know? But we held on strongly to our culture. We did not, during my time, they did not penetrate too much, but they were starting to make inroads.
okay.
Things like, you know, getting us to give up our salt and to buy their own salt. I look at it now, I say, what type of madness was that?
Mm,
Yes, because we're right by the Atlantic Ocean. We used to harvest salt, sell our own salt. And then they come, their own is looks a little different, and they always start with the elite. Yeah, that's what you people call it, right? They always start with, and they say, "Oh, this is what the commoners eat, but you are better, so this and that." And the next thing, then the commoners also want to be in that group, and that's how we left our own salt industry to
mm.
now be importing from them.
What you already have. Yeah.
So back to your question. Initially, we were very strong in our faith. We
Mm,
did not give them much room. But even that temptation of just trading with them, and gradually you see that infiltration. And so by the time you get, it took them a while, but by the time you get obviously into um, the mid to latter part of the 1800s, now they have armed both sides in Bonny, set up a civil war, and we have blasted each other. And that
mm,
is how Opobo now became born. Opobo was born out of people who fled from Bonny and then started their own place.
wow.
And
Wow.
Bonny never recovered. But at that time, they had so broken the backs of so many of the leaders, getting them to sign treaties and so on and so forth. And of course, not too long after that, you had their Berlin conference anyway, where they just completely took over the continent. But a lot of the leaders who were resisting, some of them were killed. Of course,
Mm,
some, like King Jaja, were deported. Some committed suicide
rather
rather
than
than to allow the white man to have control over them or their bodies.
Mm.
It was a very difficult time, but not under my rule.
Okay.
That came later. But eventually, maybe arrogance, we had given them land. And then those people that were not treated as well in the community now became converts, the first Christian converts. And
Okay.
then here's the worst part: the amanayanabo and the council of chiefs,
Mm.
they started sending their children to England to get educated because they understood, which on some level makes sense. They understood that they didn't understand the English, the white man's English or his language, that they were being cheated because how are you doing trading with someone and you have to wait, they write something, you say, okay, what did you write? And they tell you, but you don't know for sure that that is what they really wrote. You see, so they were always cheating. So they determined, the best way to equalize power is
Mm.
to send their children, and they had money, whether they were trading human beings or trading ivory tusk or trading palm oil, they had money. So they now send their children to go and be trained in England. And often those children will stay with missionaries or with some beneficiary or something like that. Not beneficiary, what do you people call it? Uh,
Benefactors.
Benefactor, you people's language. Okay, one is a factor, one is a fishery. Okay, anyway, so what would happen is those children
Mm.
will now go and be so infected with the white man's virus that when they come back to Bonnie, this is how they walk in the street. They can't breathe the air here. Their nose is up here. They can't look. Everything was beneath them. They're looking for their cup of tea. And and in their heads and their hearts
Mm.
are the words of their oppressors. And their eyes are now glazed over, and the lens through which they see their people are the eyes of their oppressors. And King Pepple's son, much later, King
Mm.
Pepple's son was the one who, because he was a very weak king, he was a very weak amanayanabo, nobody respected him. So what did he do? He went and called the missionaries and told them, oh yeah, come and set up. He knew that they wanted to set up and that they will also have the backing of the the uh,
The Europeans.
the government and the guns and everything. The people still took him out and he had to leave, but then he came back again, and
With the
this
help.
time with force. And as soon as he got back in, he wanted to destroy all of the people he considered his enemies, not understanding he was destroying his culture. And they completely destroyed uh, the any of our shrines, the Simingi. They destroyed the Ikuba house, or the House of Skulls,
Also.
and the totem at that time for Bonny people was the agama lizard. Sorry, no, the monitor lizard. Do you know what
Mm.
these people did?
Go on. Tell us.
Kill them all.
So if
So when I tell you about the environmental destruction that comes with the mindset of these colonizers, our area of Bonny looks nothing today like what it looked like in my time. When you see our dances and you see the masquerade and the animals and everything, you cannot find those animals, most of them today. They're dead.
extinct,
But before, every family had an animal totem.
which was available
And if
around
you
them.
had an animal totem, you didn't worship the animal. but you didn't kill that animal. It was a form of preserving your ecosystem. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
But these people have no respect. I have gone so many different places, but hopefully, this gives you a sense of who
Mm.
I am as Kambassa. They call Queen, but I'm amanayanabo. That is who I am. And my message to my daughters: learn, pay attention, put your hand to everything that you can, treat everybody with respect,
Mm.
try to leave everything better than when you found it. Eh?
Mm. Mm.
And you will make a difference.
Thank you very much. And I would love to us to leave it on that very positive note and call to action, which is just ensure that you contribute to the conservation of things around you, be it community, animals, and don't just become a wanton consumer of everything around you. Instead, do contribute your own little effort to ensuring that things get better. We have to thank you for coming through. And again, um, Bonnie is another milestone in terms of what is possible and what would happen when we ourselves destroy what it is we should hold valuable. Because I believe there was a gentleman who wrote a book a couple of years ago titled The West and the Rest of Us. And that
Mm-hmm.
book is the perfect explanation of the story you've just walked us through, which is they come in and they look around, they see the people that we don't consider to be uh, human and decide, you know what, this is our inroad, let's use them to destroy the others. And they do.
Mm-hmm.
And time again, that has become the way to go. That said, um, thank you. But next week, we'll continue the story. We're looking at the life and times of Celia Cruz. Yes, Celia Cruz is next week. And I thank our audience that have made it their staple to come through to sit down and understand what it is that women have done and continue to do, and hopefully work and help us, push the message out. Again, do like, share, subscribe. Uh, the audio version of it will go out tomorrow. You can download that and listen at your leisure and also share it. That said, thank you, Amenabo, for coming through. And again, my name is Adesoji Iginla. This has been Women and Resistance. Until next week, it's good night and God bless.